Hello, hello.
This is the podcast, Girls.
And the city. You are welcomed by your two lovely co-hosts, me, Susanna, whose idea was to have different one-liners every episode, but is now immensely regretting it.
And me, Elizabeth, who's trying to take things slow, but life has other plans. Each week, we will discuss an episode of Sex and the City, answer and reflect on the main questions, and share any personal experiences, giving it a modern twist. And finally, we've introed.
Jesus. This was the longest intro ever.
I don't know why that was so difficult for us. I know it's been a long day. Um, it's like late in Europe, I just realized.
Yes, now you are finally in my shoes
I feel
where
your pain.
we are recording in the evening for both of us. And Elizabeth understands
Shocking.
why I'm always slightly delayed.
Dead.
Sure.
I feel it.
If that's how I look like to you.
Oh no, no, it's just how I feel. It's not how you look. You look great. You always look great.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I've been in Europe for the past week, but like working US hours in Europe is highly not recommended. I'm just saying it.
Not
Um,
only US hours, West Coast US hours.
yeah, but like not even like official West Coast like hours. It's like I'll work until US like 5, 6, which here is like midnight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
so I
mean,
wouldn't recommend it.
it's still quite difficult.
Yeah, yeah, but it's nice. Missed Europe. Food's good though.
So are you working next week? Or you have
I am for, yeah,
holidays?
part of the week, and then when I'm coming to London, I'll take some time off.
Thankfully.
Yes, yes. I can't be running
Um,
around London and working.
which is, guys, we're gonna do the next episode from one room.
We still don't know how to do that.
That's,
I was just thinking about the logistics. I was like, how do you set
oh.
up the video and the microphones right? So we're gonna figure that one out.
Well, we will both have our own microphones. I mean, let's not. That's logistics. Our listeners don't have
Okay.
to. They don't have to know. We will figure it out.
We'll try to make it work. If it's bad,
And
please bear with us.
there might be a surprise.
A surprise. You mean a person?
Come on. Yes, I just realized. Sorry, one thing is we just said that you're coming to London next
That's
week.
okay. We're just gonna confuse everyone in the time
Yeah.
continuums. And then we're gonna
Okay,
go back
guys.
to the future and then back to the
Okay,
past.
guys. A spoiler. We we re-recorded this episode because someone
Because time travel.
from our uh one of us didn't like how it went for the first time.
Don't look at me.
So we had to record it again because quality is above everything else.
Yeah, that's right.
Hello, it's Elizabeth here. For anyone that's thoroughly confused, let me try and explain. By the time that we already podcasted season 1, Susanna was re-listening to episode 8 and she didn't like it, so we decided that we're going to re-record it. But by the time that we did, we already finished the entire season and I was already in Europe on my way to London the next day. And so that's why the timeline of it seems a little bit confusing, but please be patient. Finish up the rest of the season, and yeah, there'll be exciting things to come for season 2, episode 1, where we have a guest.
Anywho, but yeah. But how about you? How's your week been?
Well, I've been really distracted this week.
Oh,
During
in a
the
fun
week.
way?
No.
Oh, okay, never
Um,
mind.
um, no, I'm basically, long story short, I might need to figure out my visa situation from October this year.
Right.
And I went down a spiral, trying to like get as much information as possible and then thinking about all the possible options of what will happen or what can happen if I can get the visa or cannot get the visa or if I even need the visa.
Yeah, the
Um,
UK situation's like hard with that.
yeah, my situation is also very specific, so that makes it harder for me to assess if I have to get the visa or not. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got like really distracted for a few days in a week that obviously I was supposed to work, and instead I would just like, you
I get
know,
that. Yeah, that
all around the
happens.
place, but couldn't focus. And so I had to work in the weekend to catch up on what I didn't do over the
Gosh.
week, which was fun. Yeah, I don't recommend. And
No, weekends
you
are meant to
know,
be weekends.
my conclusion is that maybe I should apply for this research study that are like testing the microdosing of mushrooms on people's anxiety, or like how much they can calm you down. I think I would be a good participant.
You
A
want to be a
proper,
guinea pig?
yeah, why
Oh.
not?
No, I mean, that could be interesting. I've not like done much research into that, but yeah, anxiety is real for sure. I mean, I have a dog to calm myself down.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
You should probably get a cat. I thought you were gonna get a cat or something.
I would love to get a cat.
Get a
Sorry.
cat.
I would love
It's
to get a
hard.
cat. But I feel like um, it would make more sense if I live alone or live with someone that is kind of my partner, if you know what I mean. I don't really want
Yeah.
to do it in a shared household. And I also think that in this specific flat, I cannot have a pet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So
In the future.
it's in the plans. The God knows, my future self knows. We manifested that. Now it's just like
Yes. It's gotta come to action.
exactly. Anyway,
Makes sense, makes sense. What, you want to jump into the podcast now?
yes.
How dare you? It's only like 8 minutes in. Yeah, I mean, I can
Maybe
intro us.
maybe for the first time ever or second time ever we will finish early than 1 hour time
Well,
mark.
it'd be a bit of a stretch, but we'll try. We'll try. Um, I'll basically give the quick rundown of what happened. So we're talking about season one, episode eight. What is it called? Three is a crowd.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, enclosed tight in its spaces. But essentially, yeah, what we learn is Charlotte has yet again another perfect boyfriend. Um, and this time she
As
met him
usual.
at a charity event. I mean, hey, Charlotte has her standards. She knows what she likes. And she's looking for perfection. That's fine. But yeah, this time they basically go on a series of dates of like going to these benefit events of like for different kinds of charities, which is all very cool. And I think at some point he is asking her, being like, "Hey, what are your fantasies?" And so sweet little Charlotte's like, "Oh, like I'd love to have like a house and kids and all this." He's like, "No, like that's not what I meant." And so essentially he shares with her that like he would like to have a threesome. And of course she brings that back to the table with the girls, they discuss it. Samantha is like, "Yeah, it's great if you're like the guest star." Um,
Obviously.
and obviously, because Samantha's got to shine. Um, Miranda doesn't have much to say about it. She's kind of quiet. And then the moment like Carrie talks about it, and I think Charlotte says like she'd love to have Carrie be the person to join them. And
Yeah, so she basically said like she would like to do it with someone that she feels comfortable with.
right,
And then
right.
and then Samantha was like, "No, you want someone you don't know."
Yes, yes. And then Miranda just gets very sad because she feels like she's being like turned down by her friends. Not turned, but like she was never considered as an option for any of them. So essentially, she takes that back to therapy and tries to figure out like why is it her friends wouldn't consider her to be a candidate. What else do we have that's happening? Yeah, but Charlotte and Jack essentially end up like looking around like certain venues, certain bars and places like for someone, and then eventually they meet someone at a bar that they find interesting.
Yeah.
And oh, actually no, sorry, the bar was when they were just like, oh, like she's flirting with you. The other benefit is when they find someone.
Yeah, it was some kind of a mention.
Yes, it was kind of a weird party. Um, But before we get to the ending of that portion of it, Samantha is also involved with a married man named Ken, I believe. Um, and later on, I think she's walking down the street of New York and she runs into him and his wife, which she finds herself into in a different. threesome basically, and essentially the wife finds out, and then he calls her, being like, "I'm leaving my wife." Samantha's like, "No, no, no, don't do that." The wife calls her, and then she's like, "No, no, guys, you got to like figure it out." Essentially, Samantha wants out of the situation. And then last but not least, but Carrie finds out that Mr. Big Bad only has had a threesome before. He's also been married before. And so that really bugs her. So to a point that I don't know how she found his ex-wife, but she meets his ex-wife and tries to
Yeah.
pitch her a kid's book, which is
She
insane.
went down the
Wrong rabbit hole.
yeah. No, like it started, I think, very, gentle, and then she at some point like straightened her hair when she's meeting her,
Oh
and
yeah, that was like a
and
subtle
she's like,
thing.
"Oh, you changed your hair." She's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, just to like match. Um, Anyways, but then she doesn't tell Mr. Big about it at all, but she like meets her multiple times. Um, in the end, she does end up confronting Mr. Big about it, and yeah, they have an interesting conversation, but we'll essentially unpack that in a little bit. But with Charlotte, essentially, yeah, Jack gets his situation. It's all very perfect, but then at some point, Charlotte feels like she's getting pushed out. And so in that moment, Charlotte just gets up and leaves because she feels like this is not the right situation for her to be in. Um, but yeah, so anything else that I've missed, do you
A
think?
lot of a lot of threesomes. Yes, you missed one important thing, which is that
What is it?
Miranda eventually replies to an ad, I believe, in a
Oh, yes, of
newspaper
course. How dare I forget that?
to get her validation that she's won it. It's basically like a young couple, I believe, and they're together for some time. It seems like, and the wife or a girlfriend um, wants to fulfill her partner's fantasy by having threesome.
It's his
So they
birthday
were
wish.
looking exactly for his 30th birthday. So they were just looking for someone, and they were positively pleased to see Miranda. Um, and yeah, like long story short, she kind of confirms again whether they really want to have threesome with her, and then when they say yes, she excuses herself to go to the bathroom and she leaves the place. I think
She gets
that's
the
pretty
compliment,
much.
she gets the validation she needs, and she hops out of there.
Yeah, and then I think
Yeah.
there's like this funny comment, like as a Carrie usually narrates the episode, she would be like, and Miranda finally got her validation, and then also her psychic, no psychic, what's the
Therapist.
word? Her therapist, psychic. Her therapist asked her to come to the office 3 times a week. As a result,
I don't know anything that's wrong with that. But going to our main question, were threesomes a new sexual frontier? Do 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 do.
doo doo. Oh, yeah.
Lots
So
to unpack there.
correct. Um, I feel
Where do
like
we begin?
it would be good to kind of put it into the context of what they mean by that, because in that time frame, so the 90s,
Yeah.
what I think Carrie means is that, and that's also what we see in this initial conversation that the girls have when they meet. That they seem to see threesomes everywhere. So Carrie was like, "Yeah, you have 3 options to choose from when it comes to milk. You have 3 options when it comes to flying. Threesome is everywhere. Is that like a new thing?" And they talk about, okay, what was a new thing of the 80s, I believe. And it kind of just suddenly feels that everyone wants to have a threesome. For now, like we are 30 days later. I was just calculating,
Quick
and
math.
I mean, I think it's not such a new thing for people. Threesome is pretty much that's been around. At the same time, I feel it's still quite unusual activity for most of the
I'd say it's less
couples.
common. Yeah, I think it's definitely like some people have it as a fantasy, but um, we also have to dive into like I think there's been also people are more open about how they like polygamous relationships, for example, right? Or like
Yeah.
ethical non-monogamy. And in that case, I think it's definitely more common because like that's part of the arrangement. But I think in traditional relationships, yeah, I'd say it's like more of a one-off, right?
What do you mean one of?
Like it's like this the couple that like responded to Miranda's ad of like, oh, it's my
Yeah.
husband's boyfriend birthday, like he's been wanting to do this kind of thing.
I actually don't know. I mean, I am quite close to their age already, so they're like
Hmm.
assuming their 30s, and I mean, like I'm gonna be 29 in a few months. Jesus.
Exciting.
Very much, yeah. But what I wanted to say is, like, if I look around me and my circles and people in my network, I wouldn't. Maybe they don't talk about it. I think it's also something private. You probably wouldn't talk so much openly with your
Yeah.
friends. But what I see much more is these open relationships are more common, in my opinion, than threesomes. In a way of I am in a relationship with someone, let's find someone else.
But yeah, I think that's exactly the thing of like it goes
So
back to
maybe
almost like yeah,
maybe that's our new sexual frontier, open relationships.
yeah. I mean, there's obviously a difference between like ethical non-monogamy and open relationships, but yeah,
For
I
sure.
think so.
Obviously, open relationship is totally different than threesome because you would not actually engage with two people at the same time, but more like you engage with multiple people individually.
Yeah. But I
Um,
guess it is in a sense. It could be more than threesome though. Um,
yeah,
and I have talked to people like who are in open relationships, and I was like, do you ask your partners of like if they see anyone else, if they do anything else? And they're like, no, like why should I like be concerned? It's okay. Like I know where we stand essentially.
yeah. I mean, going back to where I was coming from, I don't know many people. I don't know anyone, or just maybe I know someone, but I forgot that had been in a threesome. I know many people who have or are or tried open relationships, and
Hmm.
it has its own
I guess like
parts.
pros and cons. Like yeah, like
Exactly,
just like every
exactly.
other yeah relationship.
But I don't know. I don't know that many people who would do threesomes or
Well, that's the thing. So
haven't
I
heard
asked.
stories.
Yeah, I've asked my friends who are like married and they're like about our age, and they said they would. And I think like the husband even actually alluded that like my friend already has in the past, and I was like, I gotta like dig deeper there.
Ooh.
But essentially, like, yeah, they both said that I have to be like someone they don't know. Because in that case, it's not that like it's not even the fact that I would ruin their relationship, because I think that's what like Samantha was alluding to. Um, but it was more of a fact that they if it's awkward, they wouldn't have to like see them ever again.
That's a really good point. Oh my God. Like,
Yeah, can you imagine if it like goes wrong?
I also think, no, I mean, that would just ruin the friendship.
Yes, exactly.
Or you would have to be very strong as a person to kind of overlook it and continue as if nothing happened. I also feel that the aspect of jealousy might be much more present if it's someone that you know?
Yes, yeah. I definitely agree. So, and like my other friend who hasn't ever done it, but we were like, oh, like, would you? The way she said it was kind of like Samantha's, like, I'd only do it if I like I'm the guest star and I don't know these people, and it's like that kind of situation. So, I can see both perspectives in a sense. But yeah, the whole like ruining friendships thing would, I think, be a pretty big factor.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
like,
know.
I think I said it also in the past. The moment that someone from my friends is dating someone else, like a guy, I would automatically put him into like the category of I don't look at you as like um
Beyond friend zoned.
exactly, yeah, like you are a partner of that friend, and if
Yeah,
you, even if you break up, you will always be a partner or
you're in that
ex-partner of a
territory.
friend. Yeah, like I can't look at them as like someone that I potentially would date. So it's in
Yeah.
that way, like how? I don't know. Like
I don't really know. And I'm trying to think out of the characters. Like, let's say, yeah, Charlotte is like married. Let's say down the line, because spoiler, Charlotte ends up getting married. But like, in Carrie, like, let's say joins the party, and I'm just like, that would just never work out. I don't know. I just can't see it
no.
within that friend group either. Um,
I mean, I think
Because
like the only person who would do it is Samantha, and also Samantha, like in terms of promiscuity, like she
yeah,
wouldn't really care about this stuff. But then she has such a high morals when it comes to friendships
I
that
think
she
so.
would she would never endanger that for sex, which is a big
Yeah.
thing to say for Samantha.
Yeah, and like we also see how the situation played out with Carrie and her friends in the Hamptons when it wasn't even anything, but like the moment someone thought that there was like even a drop of jealousy, it blew up in her
Oh
face
yeah,
completely.
that's true. And I mean, like, except I think except Samantha and to some extent Miranda, Charlotte and Carrie can get really really catty and jealous of each other within the friend group dynamic.
Yeah, I think Charlotte as well as like a lot of the times she gets not like jealous, but like remember that time that Samantha I think even like has an idea of a boyfriend. She's like, "Whoa."
She compares herself a lot.
Yeah, which is kind of I mean, I think we all have that to a degree.
Yeah.
Um, but I
I
think
mean,
Charlotte cares about,
she just has such a strong image of what she wants in her life,
yeah,
whereas
and
I
how she
feel
wants to be perceived, I think, as well.
exactly. Other girls are more like, yeah, I kind of live my life and just be myself and enjoy it. And Cheryl is like, no, I need this, 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 and it has
Yeah,
to happen in that way. And if someone gets it before her, I think it's kind of difficult for her to digest the fact that she hasn't reached that point yet, and someone that is like very close to her did.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Because I think
Anyway,
that, yeah,
sorry,
yeah, sorry.
finish, finish your sentence.
No, I think it just happens in like in quite a few things. Because I think yeah, it goes back to the idea that she has such a preset notion that she has to have these things and she has to like almost get it first.
Yeah.
And the moment someone else gets there, she's just like, "What am I doing wrong? Why haven't I achieved this?" So like I think it's jealousy to a degree, but I think she's also just kind of hard on herself in that way.
Yeah, I don't think exactly like I don't think she doesn't want the other person to have it. It's more like I want
Why
it
haven't
as
I gotten it?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did I do wrong or I haven't done right because I'm not in the position. And that's like exactly more about like her own perception of herself rather than like how other people are dealing or doing in their life.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure.
Anyway, okay, so I mean threesome, I in itself not really that I wouldn't say popular, but spread among
It's
our
also yeah, it's not as
circles.
talked about as well. I don't know,
No,
like
but I feel like there are like other
fantasies. Okay.
threesomes that we've seen in this episode. So one other thing that I wrote down is this idea of have you ever been in a triangle? So it's not like a threesome, but more like
Oh
what
yeah.
Samantha was facing, right? So like obviously she was sleeping with a guy, but it's more like have you ever been in a relationship where like you were kind of deciding between two people or that someone that you were seeing you kind of found out that there is someone else.
Ooh, I don't think so.
Oh, lucky
I think
you.
no, I think I like it happened when I was like I think a kid when I was like in middle school or something, and me and my friend both liked a boy, and then she ended up dating
Okay.
him. I think
That
that's like
doesn't
the
count.
oh I got mad about it though.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But I don't think like in an adult life, I don't think so. It's also I think I just meet people that are like are so outside of my circles that usually like my friends wouldn't know them.
But it doesn't really say anything about whether they like have someone else.
Oh, would they have someone else?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like
I also still
I'm
don't think so.
I meant it more like have you ever been in the situations where you had to decide between two people? You kind of
Mm,
like ended up in the triangle between two guys, or that you were one of the people that someone was deciding over or like
yeah, I
potentially
don't.
dating.
In the first, I was never like. I usually like again. I think we discussed this before, but like it takes me a while to really like someone, so I'd have to really get to know them, have like that warm friendship. So it's not going to be probably the case that I'm trying to decide between two people. And if it's the other way around. I don't like it. I don't like being a second choice.
Truth.
Yeah.
We should drink to that with my tea.
You your tea. What about you? Like either direction?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
experienced both.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, I never like. I don't think anyone intend to do or end up in the situation.
Hmm.
Um, but it just naturally happened in my life, and
Just everyone loves you so much.
or I am just really bad with saying no,
Oh. Well, that
or
way you have
like,
to ask
or
yourself, what do
like,
you want?
or like ending things. No, that's another
Oh.
thing. I like so I've been in a situation where I would um like two people and I would get quite deep with both of them. Not like I wouldn't start at the same time. It would just be like you are seeing someone and then you just meet someone that is just the connection is so strong that just
Yeah.
kind of takes over. Also, I want to prefix this that one thing that was a big factor in this, and I learned my lesson, is they always were long distance relationship.
Wait, the one that was the initial connection or the second
Yeah, the
connection?
initial. So like
Oh, okay.
it would be in a long distance relationship for like prolonged period of time.
Hmm.
Um, and it just doesn't work. I feel like you have to have very clear goal first and foremost when you will be together again, and that you
Yeah, there has to
both
be an end to
want
it.
exactly that you
Yeah.
both want, and and I think it's also when you are a little bit older, or maybe that just applied to me. You know, like I was quite young, and I still felt like I want to explore. I'm not sure where I'm gonna end up
Hmm.
after I study whatever, and it was almost like I didn't want to really promise that to someone if I wasn't sure. So in that case it felt almost as I'm not sure if this relationship will ever be in person again.
Oh, that's really hard.
Yeah, I mean, I should have like the way I went around it was not right, obviously,
Fair.
but I always like ended up in that situation when it was a long distance relationship, and
Yeah.
probably there was already something that was not working, and I just didn't want to admit it. But you learn by making mistakes, right? And
Hmm.
especially when you are like early 20s and you're kind of trying to understand also what you like and what you don't like and who you are as a person in
Yeah.
relationships. It's just, yeah, that's what happened. It wasn't easy, and they are both challenging. Like if you are in the middle, it feels that you are hurting everyone involved, but also
And
you
yourself.
don't, and yourself. You need
Yeah.
to kind of understand what you want. At the same time, you don't want to hurt people, but you will eventually. Someone will get hurt, and that's just not nice. So don't do it.
Right.
Just end the relationship before going into a new one. That's my advice.
Definitely. Yeah. I think like, and that's
uh,
like, I've always asked for that in relationships because like it's happened to me that there was like a risk that someone like I was dating was potentially starting to have like develop feelings for someone else. And like that was a
and
hard conversation, but like you just
and
gotta do it.
that's the thing. I think like the ultimate important thing, which I know applies to every situation that I saw or like experience, it's about something is probably missing in your relationship, or the relationship that other person has with someone else, but they kind of start developing something with you, and they
Yeah.
are not communicating it properly, either with the partner and they are aware of the problem, or they are not even fully aware of the problem
Right.
and they're compensating for it by finding whatever they're missing with the other person.
Hmm.
So I would say I really didn't communicate enough that something was not working. Instead, I tried to kind of do it by my way, and it ended up in this like mess. But it's
Fair.
always a communication. Like there's, I think, always something missing unless you just are addicted to having a lot of sex and one partner is not enough for you. But then that's slightly different.
Yeah.
Um, it's usually that. So I don't know. I feel like if something like this happens and it wasn't planned from the beginning of the relationship, that you didn't say, okay, I want to have an open relationship, or I want to see other people, or I want to have threesomes
Right.
regularly. It's always gonna be something that is probably like there's an issue that needs to be somehow resolved.
Yeah. Or some sort of that's like need that's unmet or uncommunicated as well, I'd say.
Yeah, and I mean, I also recently, I don't know what the hell is in the air, but recently I've heard a lot of stories, or like close people to me have been
Hmm.
involved in one or the other way in this kind of
Triangles.
triangles.
That's crazy.
Um,
Okay.
and yeah, it just, I'm just gonna confirm what I said. There is always something that is probably missing. The the big difference is that some people don't want to face it,
Hmm.
um, and probably would kind of stay in the position they are, which is then like the person that is like the third wheel is just hoping, but it's
And something
never gonna
changes, yeah.
go. Yeah, never gonna go anywhere, because the person who is in the middle is kind of not doesn't want to confront the situation, maybe because they're in a long-term relationship, or even are married, or even have families, and this happens.
Hmm.
um or I don't know what or was. But yeah, it's like very common. I was surprised, or there was something in the air that
I think people also discuss it more. It's like I think it's just
maybe.
they're open about it. I'm sure that's happened like for centuries and centuries and centuries. But I know that like if you watch, I don't know, like old-timey shows or like even the time what do they call it? Timepieces, whatever, like the Bridgertons of the world, they're always like, oh, this happens, but we don't talk about it. Like it's shameful to talk about. Whereas I think like nowadays people are a little bit more open up front about it.
I think like people, or like younger generations, are much more trying to emotionally grow also and address stuff. Like they
Yeah,
want to understand why something is happening, instead of just doing stuff and not really caring about it. But one
right.
one thing that comes to my mind now is something you said. If this would ever happen to you in a relationship, would you actually want to know?
Ooh, that's hard. Um,
Because, just to kind of add a little bit more context, one of the people that's unfortunately been in this situation in a way
mhm.
or another recently. We talked, and she told me that, I always told to my partner that if anything like this ever happened, like if you cheat on me, I don't want to know, because in that way you are putting the burden on me, and then I just have all these
Yeah.
insecurities in me as
Because
a
it
result.
like alleviates the weight from them. The thing for me is like I would want to know that it happened. I don't want to know the details. Like that would actually I think eat me up inside. But I think like for the purpose of like either working it through or ending the relationship, like I need some material to work off of, and I just can't like live blindly because like then it becomes an open relationship.
Fair. I also feel like, especially if it's long term relationship, you notice that people change.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you
Like you
also
will
know
see
these
this
people down to like
small,
the smallest like
exactly.
expression, the way they breathe, the way they like I don't know, smallest things. You can really pick up on it for sure.
Unless you're a total idiot when it comes to social cues.
Yeah, could be that too. Then you're just a sociopath. Just kidding. No, I think that'd be the case. But I have been told like someone that I was seeing, they're like, I don't want to know, like at all. Just to a point, don't tell me, don't ever mention it. Because I think they've gone through so much of like just betrayal in the past that like they just don't want
Yeah.
to know.
It's a
And I
it's
also
a hard
respect that, I
question.
guess. It's a
It's a
hard
hard
one.
question. I kind of see the point, At the same time, I think is what we just said. You will kind of see it. Like you will
Yeah.
notice. And then it's just gonna eat you alive even more in your head.
Yeah,
Because,
no, that's
because you're
true.
gonna be like wondering, like, am I going crazy or something is happening?
Something is up. Yeah. What is my gut feeling telling me? Yeah, no, for sure.
Always follow your gut feeling. Always.
Yeah. But kind of like off the topic of like relationships like that, let's take Miranda for a second in terms of like friend group dynamics. Have
Friendships.
you,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
have you ever like had it like that you felt, I guess, not like left out, but singled out in a group that you're like everyone is in on something and you're just kind of, yeah, feeling like you're not part of it?
so I will kind of divide this question into two.
Okay.
Section one. When I was like around 9, 10 years old, we were basically three
Yeah.
best friends, and it was always challenging. Like there would always be these like small things where two would kind of stick together and then the third would feel left out, and you kind of always in a indirect way compete to be like the duo that is stronger than, like everyone else. I felt
Yeah.
like, I mean, it was good. Like overall, I think given the fact that being in the triangle as a girlfriend group is challenging, we
Yeah.
did pretty well. But I always felt this kind of like underlying, almost like a competition. Also, you are a child, so it's emphasized there that like if you felt suddenly that the one person that you felt you are closer with suddenly became closer with the third one, you're like, oh my god, like they are stronger in terms of connection now than like they are with me, and I don't
Yeah.
like it. At the same time, if I was like the first person to be chosen by two of them, I felt really good about it because I was like, okay, they want to like hang out with me rather than like between each other. So
Right.
yeah, it was messy, but I mean, kids, right?
Fair.
But then when I got older, I don't think I've been in like a triangles. It was more like we would be like a bigger group of people that would, sometimes you hang out with one person, sometimes you hang out with a group, sometimes you hang out with like a few. But one thing that was like very specific about me, and I took the feedback in, but this was when I was at the high school, so formative years. I would be really not compromising on stuff. So, like people would be
Shocking.
like, "What do you mean shocking?"
I just think,
Elizabeth?
yeah, I think that you know what you like. That's all.
Exactly, and I know what I don't like. That was the most important thing.
Yeah.
So they would be like, "Oh, let's go to this cafe," and I was like, I'm not gonna go because you smoke, guys. I don't want to be in smoke environment, so I'm just not gonna go with you. I'm just gonna do my own stuff." And they're like, "Can you please, like, at least once in your life, just like compromise with a group of 6 people?" So it was more like that, like I kind of was like, if I like the idea, I'm gonna join, but if I don't, I'm just not even gonna try to
She
compromise.
doesn't fall to peer pressure.
No, at all. Like I did my own shit. And then at some point, they told me that it's not really nice that you are not like trying at all. So I think I softened a little bit because I understand that sometimes you need to do it for a group.
Yeah.
It's not natural, but I understand the dynamics and why it's important to form lasting relationships with people.
Wow.
So that's pretty much my experience. What about you?
Uh, I was trying to think. I mean, definitely. I think like, oh, it's also like, and like let's take, yeah, let's do a part two as well. But like in high school, it was also like harder because I was always like in a group of friends that were like so much smarter than I was, and I was like, I just need to study so I can keep up with them.
What do you mean? You are
Like
smart.
I'm,
Like you were hanging out with
I mean,
geniuses?
no, like they were so smart, and like I was like, they're super cool people, love hanging out with them, but like I gotta keep up with them academically. So I like would feel left out in that part. And even today, like my friend group of like the girls that I had back in like DC, I sometimes I see them like hanging out without me or texting without me, and I'm like, I introduced you to. So I'm
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
why? why are you guys hanging out with me? Stop forming better friendships. But
That's
like I
hard.
understand it's not like they're trying to keep me out. Like I'm not trying to be very like childish and immature about it. But sometimes like you get those like the baby me inside is like, what do you mean you're hanging out without me?
Yeah, I get that. It's
Yeah,
it's
but
uh
it's not personal, I know that.
it's like definitely not rational behavior, and you can recognize it, but at the same time, you still cannot remove the emotion that you're feeling.
No, for sure.
Anyway, I have one more thing,
What's up?
which we see here, and it goes back to a beautiful relationship of Carrie and Mr. Big in
Oh
season
gosh,
one,
yes. Yes.
which a lot of red flags, and I bitch about it every episode. But
She's
what
really
is
not a supporter of Carrie and Big.
no, I they get better as the time goes on.
I hope so. I hope
But not
so.
the first episode, season. Yeah, it's very imbalanced, and I don't like it
Yeah.
for her. Anyway, the question that I have is: when is the right moment to reveal that you were married, or you talk about previous partners, or even that you have like a child, or like like the big things?
Oh, I feel like a child's a big one to mention. Like, okay, like if you, I think like ex-girlfriends, husbands, wives, that can come later because like we all know we like come with baggage in relationships. I think
Okay,
that
but
there is a
husbands,
child though.
husbands, like if you were married already, it's like
Okay,
you will
first
never
of all,
be
I've
there
never been married.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I get that. I think I've only ever dated one person that's had a marriage before, and they told me that on the first date, actually.
Oh, no way.
Shocking, I know.
I like
Um,
that. Upfront.
it was
Set
very
up the
casual. It was definitely
expectations.
like not I don't know, I don't remember even how it came up. I think we are talking about criminal histories.
What? Is there a correlation between these two topics?
I guess it's just like overall histories and backgrounds.
So I did 3 robberies. I was married twice. I served
And
my
that's it.
time
And
in
now I'm here.
jail.
Um,
Anyway, among other things, how are you?
yeah. So it's like that conversation. But I think I think children, if you have any, should be brought up on date one. The rest of it, I think like
No,
date
come
two,
on.
three.
You would
Yeah.
bring up you have a child on day one.
I mean, I bring up that I have a dog on date one.
Very different.
I had slept my child.
Very different. I would be, oh my god, I want to see your dog. If you tell me that
Some
you have a
people
dog.
really love kids.
Yeah, I think there's like another episode that we do on children specifically, so I don't want to go
Yeah.
too deep into
Okay,
this.
fine,
But
fine.
I feel
Fine.
like on the
Marriages.
first date, it's probably a little bit too early.
Interesting.
But if
But what
you're
if it's a deal breaker for someone and you're just trying to sift through the,
that's what second date is for.
oh, I don't know. I think single moms don't waste their time like that.
I mean, I don't really know.
I mean, I
So
don't either, but I'm just thinking logistically.
I don't know. I think like in the first day, you're trying to just assess whether you like the person and you
Oh,
vibe,
that's true. That's true.
and you don't necessarily want to like put all your life out or like
You don't,
you know.
you're not gonna put all your cards down?
Yeah, that's the expression.
Okay. She's
Um,
playing her poker face.
I'm gonna be like, tell me.
Yeah, just get the intimidating Eastern European accent out. We'll be good.
Any
Um,
criminal history that I need to know of?
that's
What is
that's that's my
what
first
is
question
the
on a
worst
date.
thing? What is the worst thing you've ever done? I want
There
to
we
know.
go. There we go. Then you can understand how
And
what
then
their range
most
of that
important
is.
thing, question to ask as an Eastern European, do you want to go 50-50? Because if yes, I'm leaving
There we
now.
go. There we go.
No,
Um,
I am emancipated as Eastern European.
okay, so it sounds like you're not gonna bring that up until like what, date five?
Well, okay, let's go back to actual question, which was married. And like the whole idea of when do you mention
I guess like past
that?
relationships count too. I guess marriage is kind of a big one, fine. But like,
I mean, yes, it is a big one because I mean, for me, even if it wasn't a marriage, but let's say you were in like 6 year long
yeah,
relationship, you probably thought at some point that you're going to end up with that person, right? So if it ended, I really want to understand why, like what happened there, because that kind of helps me to understand who you are as a person.
for sure.
So,
And some references would be nice too.
what?
Some like references would be nice too.
Yeah.
You know how you get like references from your past employers, from your past like landlords? Yeah, references for past girlfriends
Oh,
too.
we should create like a group which is like references of our exes, and then you can just like search through database, and you will have like r-
Don't get me
reviews.
started on building another database.
Says
You
the
know I
girl
will.
who mentioned earlier today that she hates technology.
I just couldn't work the mic, that's all. I take it all back now.
Um, a great idea. I think we just created a 1 million billion.
1 million billion.
1 million idea.
All right,
Business
we've
idea.
trademarked that idea. Please, no one take it. We will be raising funding starting next week.
Exactly. So, no, I want to know. I would honestly, I think from now on when I go on dates, no, but okay, if I date, it's also an age thing. You're not gonna probably be married when you're in your 20s. Exceptions always
No, but
apply,
you can
by the way.
ask me like, "Hey, what would your ex say
But,
about you?"
but, if you're in like 30, mid 30 up, there's a high chance that you probably had either very long relationship or you were married. So I would be like, have you ever been married? Like first date
Yeah,
question. Let's go deep. Let's
let's go
avoid the
real
small
deep.
talk. Yeah.
Susanna will report back on her experiments.
I think I should run experiments.
We should.
Like,
We should.
this movie, How to Lose a Man in 10 Days?
I okay. We were just
Dates.
talking about that with my
No,
friends.
really?
Anyways, I was gonna ask a question while we're still talking about this. Of would you ever contact your ex's ex, just like Carrie has done?
No. I would ask my partner to tell me. And I mean, I have pretty good selection of when it comes to men. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
no, I mean, I'm kind of halfway joking, but I wasn't. I I would, I would feel pretty confident with whoever I'm dating that if I ask them, that they would tell me the truth. And if they wouldn't be the type, I don't think I would like that because I am
Yeah.
a lot. I'm like all about communication and open communication, and I ask a lot of questions. And if they can't really deal with it and just be honest, it wouldn't work anyway. So I would ask them directly for pure interest, honestly.
Interesting. Interesting. I think I'd agree. I don't think I'd ever do it, but I did have a friend who did.
No, really.
But yeah,
Okay,
so
that's
I was
another
like,
level of dedication.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
It also like depends who broke up with who,
For sure. And I think it's so
because
context specific.
exactly like if I broke up with someone,
Yeah.
probably their perception of me will be a little bit more sensitive than if they broke up with me. But would it scare you if like what happened exactly in the episode? Like you would stalk the ex, you would not tell your current partner, and then when you finally confront each other about like why you didn't tell me that you are married, I just met your ex, he would tell me, yes, I know, she told me.
Yeah, no,
So
that's weird.
they not only are talking, but also he didn't tell her that they are talking and that he know like that was
I was also, yeah, I think that was the confusing part
it's like
because,
a chicken and egg situation, like waiting who first will like crack. I felt crack, is that the word?
yeah, I just don't know because, like, it would be one thing if she already knew that he was dating Carrie and then she, like, told him. But if they're just, like, in constant How did she know she was dating Big though? Like, how do they mention, think to mention it?
That's a very good question. The only way she would know is if he had to be talking with the ex and
Yeah.
told her at some point that he's dating this girl, because otherwise she wouldn't recognize her.
Yeah, I think either I'd just be furious in the whole situation. I would not handle it like she did.
I mean, I am gonna, repeat myself. This relationship, not good. Not
Not
good.
good. Not
Giving
good.
red flags.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I don't think we also got much of a conclusion from the episode either.
Well, we did. There's a
It's just a quote that I think I didn't like it.
So the Carrie ends up the episode saying the real appeal of threesomes is easy. It's the intimacy that's the bitch.
Yeah, I guess. But that
You
doesn't
don't
answer
like
the
it.
question. I don't like it.
Uh, no, it doesn't answer the question. I agree. But it's not the first time this happened.
Yeah, it's bad.
I feel like in a way it somehow replies to the question, because think like she's asking like, is threesome a new thing that everyone likes and is like really appealing to everyone? And then the answer is like, well, the appeal of that is easy. I see why, but where it starts
Yeah.
to be complicated and feelings get hurt is once the intimacy involved.
Yeah. Okay, that I'll accept.
And that I agree. I do agree that as long as it's fun and light, and you can,
All communicated and agreed upon.
or like keep the borders limits
Yeah.
intact, I think, yeah, why not? I mean, you do whatever makes you feel happy. You live only once. If threesomes is the way to do it, go for it. But I feel like the emotional part and the feelings can get very easily into that, and once
Yeah.
they are in, you cannot really turn it off.
No, for
Um,
sure.
And that's something you don't really know how or when that will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree in that case.
I mean, you would have to be really, really detached and above of all emotions and feelings to be able to be like, okay, I see I'm jealous, but I can feel happiness for my partner
I guess. Yeah.
that he's experiencing whatever he wanted, or she.
No, because I think at that point you have to almost abstract it from the rest of your relationship. Like it's just something that happens, but it doesn't necessarily have any kind of feelings attached to it, let's say.
Yeah. But I mean, at that point, like, what is better, to do it with your partner or to do it behind their back?
Exactly. That's where I think it gets messier.
So
Yeah.
maybe we just answered the question of one of the never,
Never answered questions.
yeah,
Shocking. Shocking.
that why people cheat.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just, I mean, I think there's a multitude of reasons, but I think, yeah, you mentioned that communication or being afraid to speak up about it, it's definitely one of it, which I think is a pretty common one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree with the answer. I feel as long as you can keep things separate, you do you, but you cannot ever really predict it. And that's the real risk of triangles and threesomes and any type of things you do secretly.
For sure. For sure.
And if you want to do it, you probably also need to be aware of the consequences and ready to deal with it.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Anyways, I think that we covered it. Anything else? I mean, we're under an hour.
Unbelievable. I think that's
Oh,
it.
goodness. All right. Awesome. Then I think we can stop here. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
That's it. And
See you guys next time.
yeah, enjoy. Bye.
Bye.